Tomorrow isn't just another full moon, it's a coronation. Picture a single bright orb rising, a ring of light settling on your shoulders, and a crowd of eyes turning to read your name. That's the energy moving into place at 5:08 p.m. Eastern on February 1st, when the moon becomes exactly full at 13 degrees Leo. This moment could pull whatever you've been nursing in private into a very public frame. The image here is clear. A soul that has been working behind the curtain is suddenly asking and perhaps getting to step onto the stage. Feel that urgency. Feel that electricity. This is not subtle background weather. A full moon in Leo amplifies identity and visibility. It asks, who are you when the lights go on? But this isn't a solo spotlight. Directly across from the moon sits an intense cluster of planets in Aquarius, a stellium made up of the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Pluto. A stellium simply means several planets crowded together, concentrating their force in one sign. In plain language, think of it as a magnifying glass on a particular theme. Aquarius represents the crowd, the network, the audience, and its standards. So what we have here is an archetypal tug-of-war, the individual stepping into self-expression versus the many who witness, judge, elevate, or ignore. The Sabian symbol for 13 degrees Leo, an image about the soul seeking outward manifestation, reads like a poetic caption to this whole event. Something private is asking for public form. If that strikes a chord, stay with me. If you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe. At the simplest level, the full moon in Leo intensifies whatever is related to identity, personal brand, and creative expression. Leo is the sign of stagecraft, heart, and signature presence. When the moon is full there, emotions reach a peak, and the social mirror becomes active. You see yourself reflected by other people's responses. Opposite that, Aquarius is a sign of collective standards, shared platforms, and viral taste. With the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Pluto all crowded into Aquarius, those social mechanisms are unusually loud and organized. The Sun shows where the group's attention intentionally directs itself. Mercury governs conversation and idea sharing. The headlines, the DMs, the captions. Venus colors what the crowd finds charming or desirable. Mars gives the group force, momentum, and sometimes friction. Pluto deepens and politicizes the tone, adding power dynamics and transformation. Together, they form a complex chorus that could lift you up, test you, or expose vulnerabilities. Let's translate that into the modern world. This opposition sets a stage where private identity seeks public validation. It's the moment when that image you've been refining, your voice, your portfolio, your work in progress, meets the algorithms, the communities, and the influential people who decide what gets amplified. The Sabian symbol for 13 degree Leo, a soul trying to take shape for the world, gives an emotional key. The pressure to embody what you feel inside. It doesn't guarantee the applause. It only marks the crossroads. Will you present? And if you do, how will the crowd respond? Here's the mechanism most people miss. The Leo moon provides the impulse to perform, to claim a visible role. The Aquarius stellium holds the levers of distribution, conversations, networks, and gatekeepers. If the moon says, "Show me," Aquarius says, "We will decide if you stay on the stage." That dynamic can tilt towards sudden elevation, a viral post, a recommendation, a public endorsement, or toward exposure, where the spotlight reveals gaps that need repair. That's why timing matters. This full moon is a high-stakes moment for visibility. It's also a soft test of alignment. Does what you project match what you built? If you're watching this because you want to use timing with intention, now is the time to make your profile, your media, and your message ready. Prepare images, polish bios, and have short, shareable messages at hand. Practice a 30-second explanation of what you do. Record a clip or draft a caption that tells the story in one beat. Visibility likes easily consumable formats. It rewards readiness. It also punishes haste. Be ready, not desperate. Be prepared, not performative. For specific readers, this coronation-style full moon is especially potent for 3 zodiac placements: Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus. Each will feel distinct textures of this energy because of where the moon activates their charts and how the Aquarius stellium interacts with their public spheres. If your sun, rising, or a prominent planet sits in any of these signs, pay attention. For Leos, the activation is personal, a reshaping of identity. For Scorpios, the axis points squarely at reputation and career. For Tauruses, private foundations pivot into public opportunity, and the timing of Uranus stationing direct just after the full moon is a critical wildcard. I'll walk through each sign's likely pattern and practical moves you can take, but remember, none of this is guaranteed prediction. These are probabilities and potentials, the weather of potential outcomes, not destiny written in stone. If you are a Leo, listen closely. This full moon lands right where your sense of self lives. In astrology terms, think first house, the zone of personal identity, how you present to the world. In plain words, it's your headline, your posture, your face-to-camera energy. This lunation may ask you to reassess the image you've been using. Has your external presentation kept pace with your inner growth? Have you been waiting for permission to show the parts of yourself that matter most? This could be the nudge you need to refresh that profile picture, to finally update the About page, or to step into a live conversation that showcases your gifts. Because Pluto is involved across the axis from Aquarius, transformation is likely baked into the process. That can mean a deep shedding of old identifications, the persona that used to protect you, and a re-emergence into a more authentic mode. That's powerful and disorienting at once. Be prepared for strong emotional responses when feedback arrives. The moon is emotional by design. When applause comes, take it with awareness. When criticism surfaces, treat it like information, not a verdict. This energy rewards clarity. Craft a short, authentic statement about what you stand for. Rehearse it. Keep your visual assets refined and easy to share. At the same time, guard against the temptation toward theatrics for its own sake. The crown that lands for you will last only if it matches the work you've done. Take the stage from a place of craft and integrity, not ego alone. Scorpios, this full moon touches your public reputation. In chart language, think mid-heaven dynamics, the arena where your career and public impact show up. The opposition between Leo and Aquarius can pull you from private competence into a visible role where others note your authority. If you've been operating behind the scenes, expect a pivot toward recognition that feels like exposure. It could look like an unexpected invitation to speak, a project being credited to you, or a client recommending you in a way that brings attention. With Pluto tethered to the Aquarius stellium, power plays a part of the landscape. Old alliances might be tested and new ones forged. You may feel an internal alchemy, a private competence asking for public credit. That's the moment to craft a short narrative about your work, to make your accomplishments legible to people who don't know the backstory. Translate complexity into a few crisp lines. Consider who in your network can amplify you. A former collaborator, a client with visible platforms, or a peer whose endorsement matters. Prepare a concise portfolio or single-page snapshot that makes your value obvious. And crucially, plan for scrutiny. If attention arrives, some people will misinterpret your motives. Meet that possibility with transparency. A clear, humble explanation of your goals diffuses power struggles and helps keep the crown from tipping into controversy. Taurus, your story here is about roots suddenly becoming runway. The moon's energy crosses the axis that links your private life, the fourth house of home, lineage, and unsung labor, with public results. That means a piece of your private groundwork may begin to translate into visible reward. Maybe a long-term project you nurtured at home, a skill you sharpened quietly, or a relationship that supported your expansion is suddenly recognized. This is the moon's gift to your foundations, the chance to move from steadiness to opportunity. There's a crucial extra beat for Taurus. Uranus stations direct at 27 degrees Taurus, roughly 48 hours after the full moon. Stationing direct means a planet that had been slowing to a halt in apparent motion reverses and starts moving forward again. In plain language, when Uranus stations direct, it often signals that surprises, breakthroughs, or technical clarity shift from stalled to actionable. What was brewing can suddenly take a new, forward momentum form. Uranus is the planet of innovation and disruption. In Taurus, it brings unexpected changes to values, assets, and what you consider secure. For you, that can mean that a private development turns into a sudden public shift within a couple days of the moon. A message, a contact, or a technical glitch that becomes a door. Taurus, prepare your home-to-public pipeline. Make the parts of your work that live at home easy to convert. Digitize documents, polish a demo, or craft a short explainer video. Have an announcement ready that feels authentic to your grounded style. Remember, Uranus loves a twist. Keep flexibility and a contingency plan for sudden opportunities. If something surprising arrives, you'll want to say yes from a place of readiness, not scrambling. Now let's pull back and look at the role of Uranus in more detail, because it's the wild card that can materially change outcomes. Uranus stationing direct on February 3rd at 27 degrees, Taurus arrives roughly 48 hours after the full moon, and that timing matters. A station is astrologically significant because it marks a pivot point. What had been stuck or slowed gains forward kinetic energy. Uranus represents sudden innovation, technological shifts, and the lightning bolt events that upend plans. In Taurus, Uranus affects material stability, values, and resources. When it shifts into direct motion, so soon after a high-visibility full moon, the pattern often looks like this. Something about your private foundation or your identity, previously under the moon's spotlight, resolves into an unexpected public development. So how does that play out practically? If attention lands during the full moon window, Uranus's forward shift can turn a tentative nod into tangible movement. A tentative invite might become a confirmed slot. A quiet contact might suddenly send you a link, or a dormant opportunity might reappear with momentum. Conversely, Uranus can also inject volatility. Plans that seemed set may pivot on a single new data point. The posture that works here combines readiness with nimbleness. Have the assets you need, but stay open to last-minute change. Keep a flexible timeline and a simple decision rule for saying yes when the unexpected shows up. Let's address the shadow side, because coronations come with responsibility. With Mars and Pluto present on the Aquarius side, there is a potential for volatility, power struggles, and backlash. Mars brings heat and quick action. Pluto brings depth, intensity, and control dynamics. When a single person steps into a public role, others may feel challenged, jealous, or activated. The crowd can be generous. It can also be harsh. Hubris is the classic trap of any moment of recognition, mistaking visibility for entitlement. The crown, in a planetary sense, is never only about applause. It comes with an ethical test. Will you use the platform to serve and elevate others, or to amplify personal aggrandizement? That choice shapes not only how long a crown fits, but whether it becomes a burden. If criticism arrives, treat it as data, not identity. Respond where necessary with clarity and humility. Avoid public defensiveness that escalates conflict. When power struggles surface, subtlety often wins. Name what matters, acknowledge imperfections that are relevant, and redirect conversation toward your purpose. Don't weaponize the crowd against critics. Instead, model mature leadership. Listen, correct when called for, and move forward with integrity. Remember that reputation is built over time, and how you respond in a difficult moment often matters more than the initial attention. So what are the concrete steps you can take in the next 72 hours to maximize the probability that this full moon crowns something constructive rather than exposing avoidable cracks? First, audit your public-facing materials. That means a quick but honest review. Does your main profile photo convey the presence you want? Is your headline clear? Can someone understand your offer within 5 seconds? If not, edit ruthlessly. Second, prepare short, shareable assets. A 1-minute video, a 2-sentence pitch, and an image with a clear caption. If attention comes, people will engage with tidy, consumable pieces of content. Third, practice your message. Have a concise story that explains who you are and why it matters. Not a long history, a focused, present-tense value proposition. Fourth, name your supporters. Identify 2 or 3 people who can amplify you within hours. Reach out tactfully and let them know what might happen. Make it easy for them to share. Fifth, build a simple response plan for criticism. A brief template that acknowledges concerns, corrects inaccuracies, and invites dialogue offline. Prep that language now so that you don't react from emotion later. Sixth, ground yourself daily. Rituals matter under pressure. Simple practices like a short walk, breath work, or a gratitude list will help you keep perspective when the lights come on. Emotionally, cultivate curiosity and humility. This energy rewards people who are willing to learn. Show up as a student of your own evolution. When the crowd offers feedback, test it before you internalize it. Keep your inner circle tight and practical. Give trusted advisors visibility to help you make quick decisions. If you're working with teams or collaborators, align expectations now. Clarify roles, credit lines, and decision protocols so that if a rapid opportunity or a public challenge appears, everyone knows how to move. Public recognition often brings a flurry of demands. The more you have prepped roles and boundaries, the more you'll protect both your work and your relationships. As we move toward the close, imagine the threshold again, a crown hovering like a comet's glow, an invitation to step across. The moon asks you to present. Aquarius holds the network scales. Uranus flicks the switch that can change the direction of what follows. This is a major shift in possibility, not an absolute decree. You might be gently ushered to the front, or you might encounter an encounter that forces a revision. Either outcome is useful. Either way, the work you've done in private matters now more than ever. So take a breath and make a plan. Polish what's visible. Prepare your message. Name the people who support you. Practice responses that keep you in service rather than in ego. If you feel pushed toward the spotlight, ask, what will I do with that attention? How will I stay grounded and accountable? That reflective posture is the difference between a fleeting coronation and a legacy shift. If you're Leo, Scorpio, or Taurus, and this reading landed for you, share what you're feeling in the comments below, your sign, and one practical step you're taking. If you want to keep getting forecasts that mix timing with tangible moves, subscribe. This moon could crown you, but the crown sits best on preparation, humility, and purpose. Step forward with readiness. Let the light reveal what you've built. The stage is set. The threshold waits.